How's it going, Renegade Nation? Before we begin the video, I want to give a big shout out to our most recent Patreon supporters and YouTube members. Mark, Professional Alcoholic, Ryzen, Isaac London, Brendan Wells, Julian Hernandez, Robert Roll, Ronald Coyote, Elijah Moffat, Meme Review, Melly Mel, Alexander Vertinsky, Aiden Shelton, Kasicle, Rin Naru, Tenebris Narud, Oki, Alpha Nightmare 666, Cole Lowe, Ace Attorney Fan 621, Abigail Stemper, Ali Mocha, Scratch Addict, Tentacles, Scar X Scar, John Doe, Tyler B, ZK, Apprentice, Smite Me God, Megs Wild, Quinn Woods, Jibin, Alec, The Names Do, Kleiner Toaster, Epic Binge Watcher, CTH, King Jester, Stated Whale, Ethan Paragoy, and Charlotte. And as always, I'd like to give a shout out to our executive producers, Bevan Brummett, Hades Belt, Tavon, and Alaskan Josh 98. Thank you all very much for your support. And if you want to become a Patreon supporter, click the link in the description to find out more. We'll see you there.
Tally ho, lads!
Lightsaber time, baby.
Use the Force, young Padawan. Oh my god!
Here we go, by God.
Yeah, we got ourselves
Dead quick.
So we recorded the intro to this before. Thankfully, we didn't get that far into the video. We were only, like, I think 10 seconds in when I looked over and I saw it. Wait a second. Where's voice meter? Ah, come on. And apparently, every now and again, voice meter on boot up will stop and then force itself shut.
Crash, basically.
Yes, basically. And it doesn't reopen. And it doesn't have like a automatically reopen whenever crash is detected or something like that. But it doesn't have that function. So I'm just re-recording the intro now. So
I think the only program I've ever noticed that tries to do something like that is Discord.
Every now and again, Discord has
So
it.
I'll notice Discord will just be like, I'm gone by, and then it'll be right back, and it's like, hello again, and I'm just like, okay, whatever that was.
Yeah. Well, it always goes back to the whole old credo of computers and software. Have you tried turning it off and on again?
Sometimes it does it itself.
Yeah, exactly.
Although usually you'd rather it not do that.
So, basically I'll summarize what I said. I know that this is going to be a more personal video for Jaden because Jaden, like, she posts a lot of stuff about her family and stuff like that. She's posted a few things about, personal stuff and all that, but overall, like, whenever she does a video like this, I'm just hopeful that, that her fans will be understanding and all that, but given the fans I've spoken to from Jaden's community, they're very understanding and, like, very open and very supportive, and it's like, damn, Jaden, you got some awesome fans. But also, Jaden putting this video out, I know was probably a lot for her because, hey, sometimes you're in a mindset that, you have to put something out in order to, express yourself and basically get over this emotional hump that you're on. And that's earlier this year, that's what I did. I actually posted a set of videos, one called I Miss My Friends Sometimes, and then another one called But Life Goes On, basically chronicling, like, my depressed feelings at that point, because looking back on how the channel was versus how it is now, I like where the channel is now, but there's some things I miss about back in the day, but that's the unfortunate thing. You can't get those back. It's impossible to literally, like, rewind time and do it again. The only thing you can do is move forward. And I think that's what Jaden's doing here. And I'm just going to go ahead and get into it. So we have the video queued up here. Let's give it a watch. Here we go.
Okay, before you even say anything, let's lay out some ground rules. This is probably gonna be the most open I'll ever get about my personal life. I know I've shared tidbits of myself and life through little stories, but when it comes to personal stuff, I'm very private. Especially within the past few years. I'm gonna be talking in very general surface level terms because specific personal details are for me to know and in the nicest way possible.
Acting like there's only one guy listening to it.
Basically, this is something I want to talk about, share, and bring a spotlight to. But at the same time, you get the Cliff Notes version. So no trying to assume or guess anything beyond what I'm sharing within this video. At the end of the day, we're all just strangers refusing to listen to the stranger danger rule. Alright, formalities aside, let's get into it. I've come to realize that I'm Aro-Ace, which stands for Aromantic Asexual. And I know what you're thinking. That's not gay, what the hell is that? And you know what? That is completely fair, because I didn't know what that was either. Aromantic and asexual are two different things, and I'm gonna break them down to you separately, starting with
I only know what
aromantic,
the one on the right is.
Yeah, the one on the right?
I think she was about to say no one knows what that is.
Well, no. Aromantic means you have no romantic feelings for somebody.
Oh, is that what she said? Aromantic?
Aromantic, yeah.
Oh.
Aromantic. So aromantic is basically no romantic feelings for one. Asexual is, no sexual proclivity for another. And that's just like lack of interest. It's basically, you're apathetic towards like emotional feelings towards people. And that's not a bad thing. I know some people I have friends who have been that way. I mean, hell, girl I knew, Jenny, she basically had no boyfriend, had no girlfriend. She was very confused about who she was. And she just decided right then and there, she's like, I'm just me. That's all she had to be. But anyway, let's go.
Really knows what that one is. And also, it's my personal favorite. Someone who's aromantic is defined as a person who feels very little to no romantic attraction to anyone at all. So like, they might not develop crushes on people or feel the need to be in a romantic relationship with anyone. Very general terms, but hopefully you kind of get the gist. If not, here's a little story example from me. Growing up, I never developed crushes on anyone. I remember when I was in 5th grade, kids were talking about their crushes left and right, and it was starting to feel like something I had to experience too, just because I thought that's just what happens. Don't make fun of 9-year-old me, I was a sheep. Anyway, I decided I needed to have a crush because that's just what happens to people. And I very robotically chose this random kid in the class who we can call Pikachu. That's not his name. He didn't mean anything to me and I didn't do anything about this crush. Like, I didn't tell anyone or anything. It was just a headcanon thing for me to feel up to speed and like I was hitting my normal human emotions quota.
Hey,
But it's funny
Persona.
because on Valentine's Day,
very
you know
nice.
how in elementary school everyone would bring cheesy Walmart Valentine's cards for everyone in the class, and then you'd have a box full of candy and hollow emotions from everyone? Well, my school did that. When I went through my box...
We didn't do that. Instead, it was just mainly Valentines that you could leave blank if you wanted to. Or if you wanted to, you could put your name on it if you felt brave enough. I handed out 3 Valentines, and I got 1. And she put her name on it. She's very sweet, but at the same time, she was a girl that I really wasn't into that much. But,
I just recall that we had like little boxes that we decorated for Valentine's Day, and then everyone could bring Valentines and share them. But I believe the way that it ended up going was that everyone just brought one for everyone. Like, everyone bought like a pack of like the little cards with candies and stuff, and just...
well, we didn't
So
have
it was
that.
basically
We
like
actually-
everybody had a big box of basically little bitty cards from everybody else in the class.
Our teacher handed us like sheets of construction paper, that very cheap colored paper that was like could tear very easily. She handed us a bunch of that and a bunch of scissors and said we could make whatever Valentines we wanted. The only thing that it had to have on it was like a heart to like signify like the Valentine's Day thing. And everyone basically did that. There was one girl who put a black heart on hers, and the teacher was just like, "So you don't want to use like red or pink or purple or green?" And like, "No, I like this." And the teacher was like, "Okay." Just my teacher, Miss Riggs, was very understanding. She was like very like she let kids express themselves fairly freely. The only time you couldn't is whenever you wanted to say profanity, which, it's kind of a big thing, especially in that grade. But anyway, sorry.
I pulled out Pikachu's Valentine and thought to myself, someone who has a crush on someone would keep this. I think. So I put Pikachu's copy-paste Batman Valentine in my drawer and promptly forgot about it because it meant nothing to me, but hey, that's just what I thought I was supposed to do. man, I'm so good at this. Then like a year or so later when my mom was going through my room, she pulled out the card and was like, why do you have this? And I was like, honestly, I have no idea. Years passed, I entered junior high and thought to myself, alright, this is the time where people start developing crushes and then do something about it. Like get into relationships or something. So I was like preparing to be interested in people. On the first day of school, I scoped out the room to see if there was anyone that I thought looked like someone I could develop a crush on. And this was when classes started being divided up into periods, so there were like 6 batches of people I sifted through. But no one caught my eye, and I thought, man, unlucky. Went through the whole school year, next year rolled around, classes changed, I did the same potentials crush scoping again, and the same thing happened. I wasn't drawn to anyone at all. Man, unlucky again. Every year I thought something would change, especially going into high school when people started actually hitting puberty and were getting conventionally attractive. But my entire school life, grades kindergarten to senior year, which I'm pretty sure is like 13 years, I wasn't interested in a single person throughout any of it. And what's funny was I was thinking, man, what's the deal? Why is no one attractive? And I went to a big high school. There were like 3,500 students there. Surely I am not the outlier in this formula.
How many kids were in your high school?
I have no fucking idea.
Yeah, how many were in mine? Like the entire school. 398. That was it. That was it. Our senior class, my senior class, 06, was the last class that had 100 kids in it. For like ever since then, oh no, until they combined the schools, until the school, like my main school closed, and then they combined the schools, and now like upwards of 800 kids goes to that school now. But back in my original single A school, now it's a double A school, but. Yeah, our class was the last one that had 100 kids in it. After that, it was like 80, 70, 90, and I mean, damn, dude. And for Jaden to feel that way with 3,500 fellow students versus me, I had like 100 kids in my class, like half of them were girls, and I had crushes on a fair amount of them. I mean, there were, I think, 3 I had crushes on. And then there was a girl who was a grade above me, but that's not worth talking about.
There were like plenty of girls that I was like, they are cute or pretty. Mm-hmm. When I was in high school, there was one girl that I definitely had a crush on basically through middle school. Mm-hmm. And then there was one girl that's about halfway through high school, I had a crush on her for a couple of years. And after that, like, not much else. So, I mean, it was always like one particular girl for me, usually at a time. And then in retrospect, I'm like, there's these girls that I actually talked to a decent amount that I was friends with that kind of acted like they might have liked me, that I should have just been like, hey, you want to hang out sometime? But I never did. Too awkward.
That's how it goes, man.
Why are none of you attractive? By the time I was going to college, I really felt like I had to find someone.
Okay.
It felt like I was falling behind the curve, or if I was going to find someone, it was going to have to happen now. I made a lot of new friends, and that's when I thought I developed my first genuine crush. Long story short, in hindsight, no, it wasn't a crush, and I was just wrong. I just met someone who I thought was cool and funny and had a really strong desire to be close to them. But looking back, knowing what I do now, it wasn't in a romantic way. I realized I can get very excited and tunnel vision on people I think are really cool or interesting, and kind of obsess over getting to know them or just want to spend a lot of time with them. But whenever I got into those tunnel vision moments, if I sat down and asked myself if I actually wanted to be in a relationship with them and hold hands or cuddle or kiss, the answer was not really, but if they wanted to, I could go along with it, which I do not think is right.
No,
in my very old flirting video,
it's not right to force yourself to feel that way. Again, where I'm the only person in my generation right now, in my dad's side of the family and my mom's side of the family, that does not have kids. I'm the only one. And
My sister's older than me, and she does no kids. So.
Well, that's okay. That's
fair amount older than me, like 18 years older than me.
Yeah, dude. I remember,
and therefore, 18 years
dude,
older than you too.
There's a girl who, like, there's a one of my nieces. She's like 20. She has a kid now. Dude, I feel worthless. I'm just like, that's at first how I felt. Now I'm just like, you know what? I'm good. At first I felt like garbage, but now I'm just like, it's whatever. But dude, I just having to deal with that. Like, dude, there were family members of mine who thought I was gay for the longest time because I didn't have a kid. I don't.
It's their fault.
I know. I'm like, no, I'm not gay. Like,
apparently, my sister's ex, Donald, expressed to her after I got a girlfriend, after not having one for a while, that he was starting to worry about me, and he was glad I had a girlfriend.
Wow.
Like, what the fuck, dude?
One of my roommates thought I was gay, and he actually introduced me to a gay dude, and thought that me and him would hit it off, and I'm like, why would you think we'd hit it off? He's like, well, man, I just you seem like you were lonely and all that. I'm like, wait, you thought I was gay? He's like, you're not? I'm like, no. And he's like, dude, I swear to God, like, you sure? I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure, man. Like, dude, come on. Like, it's weird. People, like, and here's the thing, I can understand, like,
what's weird to me is other people's personal investments and other people's relationship status and business.
It's none of my business.
Because, like,
either.
Families can't ever shut up about, like, when you get married, when you have kids, and stuff like that, you know?
Never.
And I'm just like, when you gonna shut the fuck up about that? Because, like, I don't care. And
you know, my grandmother really, like, stopped doing that to me the very moment my cousin Josh had two sons of his own, because I think she wanted the Hamilton name to keep going.
Like, if someone asked me right now, it's like, when are you going to get married or when are you going to have kids? If one of my family members ever asks me that, I'm going to be like, whenever you cough up about $5 million so I can attract a lady and have one and afford it.
Oh, God.
Video, which I refuse to rewatch. I think at one point in it, I said something along the lines of, if you're interested in someone but they just want to be friends, I don't understand why some people can't deal with that. And that was primarily because I didn't realize there was an emotional difference between a crush or falling in love and just being really good friends with someone. So, oops, sorry for the bad take, I think. I really just thought having a crush on someone was wanting to be their number one best friend. Look, I said don't make fun of me. To me, it used to feel like if I was wanting to become friends with someone to that high of a degree, that would be the next step or justify why I wanted to put this much time, effort, and energy into one person. And it didn't feel right or even fair going through all of this with someone and then tell them they're just a friend. I don't know, it just didn't feel like it made sense, even though I really didn't technically see them in a romantic way. I just didn't understand what was going on really, or that there was supposed to be real emotions instead of a logical understanding of steps. And the fact that I was under the assumption that I was supposed to be interested in people in a romantic way didn't help with anything. I always preferred to stay good friends, but never felt like I could have that, and I worried that if I said no, that we would just start drifting apart, which I obviously didn't want either. It's been a very long journey discovering this about myself.
Well, here's the thing about, being told this. It's because it's the typical human, like, thing. Like, it's the reason why our species has survived this long. It's the main reason why it's the norm, is because in order for our species to survive, procreate. That's it. But, not everyone's of that same mindset. Not everyone's like have as many kids as possible, and then you die, and then your mess is now theirs. I mean... Yeah,
I'm not of that mindset.
Me neither.
Especially not now with the way the Earth is.
No, I
said this to somebody the other day because they were like, yeah, but, like, Christianity tells you that, multiply and be fruitful. And I was like, God said that to Adam and Eve at the very beginning when there's only two of them.
Yeah.
There's 7 billion people
Nearly
on Earth
8
now.
billion
Probably
right now,
nearly,
dude.
yeah, probably nearly 8 billion. I believe we have succeeded in doing what he said.
We have been.
And we don't need to keep going all that
fruitful.
bad.
We have
This is
been
like,
fruitful, and
we're
now-
consuming the planet like a disease, and we should just probably think about slowing the fuck down if there's people who don't want to add to that bullshit.
Well, in truth, we are. That's one thing I've noticed about the birth rates, especially here in the U.S. They've been slowing, whereas in other countries around the world,
Well, because the other thing is just like, why would you want to bring a kid into a world that's basically doomed at this point? It's just not a great idea. Like,
Well,
we're
we're-
pretty much like doing exactly what you said. Is like your mess is our mess, or our mess is yours now. Like you fucking. deal
well,
with
and
it.
that's why I want to provide a sustainable life for my kid if I ever have one. Be
But
like,
you can't really do that because they're going to be living on a doomed planet.
we're all doomed, man. We're all gonna fucking die.
Yeah,
one
it's
day.
just like it's closer though for the next generation than it ever has been.
Dude, like, people have been saying that since the Black Plague. Like, it's like, oh, the next generation's doomed. Oh, the next generation's doomed. Like, honestly,
It's like literally people have been joking recently. It's like when I grow up, I want to be as like, it was 72 in January. You're not growing up. It's like global warming's about to hit the fucking wall, pretty much. Apparently, like, the scientists are freaking out as of today because there's heat waves at both poles of the Earth right now.
yeah, I've heard that. Also, I honestly, I don't know. This planet has gone through multiple shifts in climate throughout its history, or throughout its existence. And humanity doing this, it's going to result in a massive backlash that the Earth's basically just going to be like, all right, time to bitch slap y'all back to the Stone Age.
Pretty much.
And that's going to happen. And because of that, I want to at least try and have a sustainable, like, have a well dug, have solar panels on the roof, have, something.
You're going to need a bunker at a point.
Hey, man, I'll build a panic room. I'll build a panic room over here. And plus, just, I don't know. There's a lot that you can only do the best with what you have, and I'm trying to not be wasteful. I try very hard to not be wasteful. Anyway.
Didn't help with anything. I always preferred to stay good friend or drift about myself. Everything I'm saying has all been extremely subconscious and not understood or defined for many years. I even used to think I was bi or pan for the longest time because I would think to myself, well, bi is being interested in both genders. I don't really care for either, but 0 is equal to 0, so I guess I'm bi or pan. I got math involved. If I knew what aromanticism was, when I was growing
See,
up,
pan
things would have
is
been-
like, I know someone who's pan, and their whole thing is like everyone is pretty. Like, so
Well,
she's definitely the opposite of pan.
Well,
pretty much.
if Pan is the infinite, Jaden is the 0. That's basically how you have to look at it in terms of adding math. Uh-oh. It's feeding time.
I must feed the kitty. I'll be right back.
All right.
Well, yeah, literally, like, I've had friends that post memes, and they're just like, all my straight friends, and they're like, yay, the opposite gender is attractive. All my gay friends, yay, the same gender is attractive. And it's like, me and all of my pansexual friends, it's like, everyone is attractive, help!
Sorry about that, everyone. He had to go feed his kitty cat, Mr. Vega.
He's chowing down now.
He's chowing. Also, I was scoping out the comments for our one of our more recent reactions to The Legend of Vox Machina, Episode 1.
How's it doing?
So far, so great.
Cool.
Everyone loves it. Also, not only that, but we've had a lot of people just be like, oh my gosh, I can't wait for you guys to see what happens. Oh my gosh. And then another one who's just like trying to be like, it's pronounced I'm like, I literally could not.
Pronounced what? What are you
They
talking
were
about?
trying to tell us like how something was pronounced. I think I mispronounced something. And they were just like, it's pronounced, where is it? Where are you? There it is. It's pronounced Talasen Jaffe. And I'm just like, I literally could not give a shit right now.
It's spelled exactly like Taliesin from Taliesin and Evitils. So.
Oh!
You know what? Go fuck yourself.
Oh. Couldn't remember if it was me or you who said it.
been a lot less complicated for me a lot sooner. I think it's mainly because people don't really talk about it or even know what it is or that it's real. Romance and love is the #1 most talked about topic on the planet. Everything I've been taught or learned through society is that love and romance is everywhere. Everyone feels it. And it's gonna happen to you. Just a funny little note, there was a point where I was listening to some generic romance song on the radio. You know, like all of them. And I just suddenly thought to myself, wait, do people actually feel these things towards each other? Like all these mushy lyrics are real emotions? They're not joking? And that's when I started feeling like something was different. I approached romance under the blanket term thought of, sure, why not? And didn't recognize it was actually a feeling, which might sound stupid, but look, I don't know. No one presented me with any other options. I did a lot of rationalizing. If someone ever expressed romantic interest in me, I would mentally make a kind of logical list of their pros and cons and the pros and cons of what a relationship would look like with them based on what I knew about them as a person. I didn't realize there was supposed to be an extra, excited feeling, or the fact that you're not supposed to think about it as if it were a business exchange. I understand compatibility is a huge important variable when it comes to sharing a relationship with someone, but at the end of the day, it's still, apparently, still a very emotionally driven thing. And I literally had to make that discovery and teach it to myself.
Basically, James being very analytical with the prospect of being in a relationship. And you know what? Some people are like that. I mean, I know that there's some relationships I've looked at as just like, so I would have to drive an hour and a half just to see her. Is it worth it? And then after about a week, I look at my empty bank account and I'm like, it's not worth it. I like this girl, but I can't do things like eat or pay rent if I'm continuing to see her. And that's just, well.
Now, I'm gonna talk about being asexual very briefly, and I'm gonna preface it with, let's all just be mature about this, alright? We're all pretending to be adults here. I've got my eye on some of you. Behave! Okay, this is definitely treading into uncomfortable personal boundary territory for me, but yeah, I do want to share that I'm asexual too, which is defined as someone who feels little to no intimate attraction to anyone. Look, I know we said we're all adults, but I'm still gonna dance around the vocabulary, alright? Yes, there's a difference between romantic and intimate attraction. Little side note, I will say you can experience romantic attraction to someone but no intimate attraction, or you can experience intimate attraction but no romantic attraction. You can be one and not the other, it's not necessarily a package deal.
I've only personally ever had the intimate without the romantic, but I know other people can have the romantic without the intimate. For me, it's like if I have romantic attraction to someone, I also have intimate attraction to them. That's just part of the package for me, but everybody's different. So.
Well, I've had the romantic attraction, I think, about 3 times. But the intimacy with one, we never had any compatibility intimacy-wise. The second one we had compatibility, at least I thought we did. But then she had a revelation for me that basically just, made the prospect of a relationship going any further literally impossible. And then the third one, we had both romantic interest and intimate interests. And we loved being around each other. But she valued what her dad thought more than what I did. Which, thinking back on it, it's a little bit kind of creepy, but at the same time, relationships, they're difficult.
And I do not feel either. Anyway, I have never been magnetically attracted to the look or shape of a single person in my entire life, and did not realize it was a real thing until very recently. I'm able to identify when someone looks conventionally attractive, by textbook definition, but I never realized people are genuinely drawn to people they think are attractive. I didn't know that people could just see someone and be like, wow, they're gorgeous. I would love to get to know that person, or maybe go on a date with them.
Hey!
Or whatever else.
Yeah, you didn't know that? Was if Jade never sees this, just so you know. He's like, hey, you didn't know that? Like,
no, it's just that.
That's exactly what I thought about you when I saw you, Jaden. I'm sorry. Like, but it's the truth.
It is what it is. Hey, you feel how you feel, and she's basically putting how she feels out there.
Yeah.
In general. I mean,
you people do. I didn't think it was real. I thought people were exaggerating or something. I don't know. And I also couldn't believe that some people feel that with multiple people.
Oh,
or
God.
like celebrities, which sounds absolutely exhausting. It ties back to when I was in school, like looking around for people to like. It makes sense now that no one caught my eye because that doesn't happen to me. I was just wasting my time for 13 years. I feel like such a fool. Now, there's an easy assumption to make about asexual people and that they all have zero interest in being intimate with anyone at all, which actually isn't true. Some of them are genuinely turned off by it, and some aren't. Some reasons would be that they just don't mind it, or they want to make their partner happy, or enjoy the emotional closeness of it. There's a million different reasons and a million different people. Am I sharing what kind of a people I am? Nope. And you don't know me personally.
That's where I figured she'd draw the line.
Yeah, because that's last part especially is kind of it's a little bit easier to explain than the first two that she was mentioning, like, because the emotional closeness is like, you may not personally be like, I like the idea of getting naked and doing naughty things with you, you know, with someone that you're like in a romantic relationship with, if you're just like romantic but asexual. But it's like, but I do really care about you, and it's like, it's not the idea that we're getting naked doing naughty things, it's the idea that I get to be that close to you and stuff like that. So I can see that. Like that one's the easiest to like kind of like empathize with in my mind, you know.
Well, closeness is, there's nothing wrong with like being close with somebody, like especially if you genuinely like being around that person. Now, again, for an ace like Jaden is saying that she is, the being close with somebody wouldn't really be like an intimacy thing, because she really doesn't, from what it seems, she doesn't really have that many feelings of intimacy or romantic feelings, so it's...
When you're both, it's probably going to be hard to ever be interested in that.
Well, again, I think Jaden's in love with her work. I think that's her main thing, is Jaden's in love with her work, and she probably also like has a platonic love for like friends and family, and Ari and her pets and everything. I guarantee you she has like platonic love, but again, just like romantic or intimate love, not really. I mean, that's just, from everything she's saying, that's where I think she's leading this. Also, for her to draw the line here to like where she stands, that's perfectly respectable. I mean, she has where she stands, and she doesn't want to go any further, and that's perfectly fine, man.
It's like, honestly, like I've read into a lot of this stuff, and you could probably kind of define my whole thing is like slightly outside of just the straight up heterosexual range, because I'm like demi-romantic heterosexual, if that makes sense. Which means that typically there are very few, like, women usually have to do something along the lines of present to me that they have some sort of opinion that just makes me lose respect for them, or just say something abysmally stupid for me to be like, that woman is no longer sexually attractive to me.
Wow.
Like, basically, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they just have to do something like really, really dumb, or just say something really, really dumb, or something like that. But otherwise, I find a great many women sexually attractive. But like in terms of the romantic aspect of everything, I feel like I'm more like demi-romantic, because most of the women that I find sexually attractive, at the same time, I'm like, I don't really have a huge interest in being in a relationship with them, though. And every once in a while, though, will be one that I'm just like, this person I'm interested in being in a relationship with. And it's like I don't know if that's actually just how it kind of goes for everybody, but like that's just from how I've heard everyone describe it. Like, it kind of sounds like that would be what you would refer to what I feel as. But And some people just describe that as just being an asshole but it's really like, I'm not going out of my way to just be like, I'm just gonna bang a bunch of chicks and never be in a relationship. I'm just really picky, it seems like, about who I want to be in a relationship with. But there's a lot of people that I find really attractive.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
No. Honestly, that's how that is. I find myself attracted to a lot of women, but my whole thing is, I also look at it from a pragmatic sense, is that I don't like, by being attracted to them, I'm just like, all right, but let's be realistic here. Just because I'm attracted to them doesn't mean that, I need to fawn over them or anything like that, because they pretty much live on the opposite side of the world. I'm never going to meet them. I basically do an analytical breakdown in my head. It's like, if there's someone locally that I find attractive, and I'm just like, hey, maybe I'll strike up a conversation and maybe see if they want to hang out, and if things go well, hey, maybe we'll go on a date.
And usually there's a thing in my brain too that happens whenever I'm romantically attracted to someone, which is I can play out a fantasy scenario of I could see us basically supporting each other's goals and building a life where us two together is greater than the sum of just us two as individuals. Does that make sense at all?
Yeah, I get that.
So sorry to use you as an example in the video where you're talking about not being romantically or sexually attracted to anyone, Jaden, but just for example, I have thought about the fact that if I don't know if Jaden ever came to town and I took her out for ice cream, we hit it off and stuff, it'd be really cool to have an artistic girlfriend that we supported each other's goals to be on YouTube and entertain people and tell stories and just animate together and draw things together and stuff like that. I think about things like that. Yeah. And that's usually what gives me the idea that I'm I could be romantically attracted to this person. And it's a weird example too, because it's obviously, Jaden, you're more of a celebrity crush. I've never actually talked to you in person. It's just, that's what my brain kind of goes to.
Yeah.
And I'm not meaning anything creepy by it or anything by any means. I totally respect 100%. That I've never met you, and that you're obviously admitting right now that you're asexual, aromantic, so it's probably never going to happen.
Well, and my whole, again, I look at celebrity crushes just like me. I've had a crush on Christina Hendricks for the longest time, but then the barrier of her being married was well, I'm not going to be attracted to her anymore. I'm she's a crush, but it's whatever. But then she got divorced, and now I'm just well, the potential is there for me if I ever get famous enough. But then eventually my the sane part of my brain is just oh, right.
But my other thing too is with my celebrity crushes is I don't know that much about certain ones, and it's Aubrey Plaza. I've seen enough of her in interviews and stuff to be she is someone I would I feel I would get along with Hendricks. Really
I've seen
well.
A lot of her interviews,
and
she's a very funny, just open person.
And then there's Jewel State, where I'm just sort of I don't know quite as much about her, and I know she's married, so I kind of respect that, and I don't really.
I respect the same any relation.
But when I saw Kaylee in Firefly, I was just Kaylee in Firefly is an attractive person to me, someone who builds a fucking ship engine and stuff like that, and her personality and everything, and I kind of just got the crush on Jewel State because of her character in Firefly to an extent. So it's not as much of a celebrity crush as Aubrey Plaza.
I would say I was attracted to Gina Torres. I was also attracted to River for a little bit as well. But
I never really.
But then I also found myself
River is more.
It's hard not to just want to be friends with Nathan Fillion because we're both named Nathan, and two, he seems like one of the most.
I've had that too. I've told
I want to be friends with somebody.
Most of my friends that are ladies have told me that they thought this was adorable, but I've had this legitimate urge, and I'm it's almost like a crush, but it's like I'm straight. I don't have a sexual attraction to this
But
person.
you want to be friends
I
with
really want to be friends with like Kyo from Deer Gray.
Yes!
And
yes!
like
You talked about that.
Yeah, and like certain people like that are dudes, I'm just like, it would be so cool to hang out with that dude. Like,
Well, here's the thing. I'd like to just have a hangout sesh and see if, we can become friends.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing with hangout sessions. Like, the more that we've had here, with hangouts with Lee and Megan and Jacob and Amy and Justin and Matt and all them, I'm just like, these people are becoming my friends very slowly but very surely. And it's from these hangout sessions. I'm just like, okay, here's our similarities.
It's
okay,
like, now I kind of
this.
have that with Junji Ito, too. I'm like, you know how cool it would be to just be pen pals with Junji Ito? And, like, just have him, like, bounce ideas off of you and just be like, what do you think about this? And just always get to be like, I fucking love it, man.
Dude,
like,
same
it's
thing,
awesome.
Same thing with someone like Jaden. I mean, even if just pals with her and play games with her. Because
Yeah.
I've seen you play Pico Park, Jaden. You are cruel. Why do you do that? Why do you do that to Alan? Why do you do that to James? Why? But yeah, either way, let's go ahead and finish this.
Enough in the slightest to be able to try and parasocially analyze where I stand on that spectrum. I'm just here to say I am this. We are moving on. When I stumbled onto the term aro ace and started realizing I fall into that category, it helped me feel much more confident and sure of myself. I've read a lot about how people say they felt broken or that something was wrong with them. But honestly, I was the complete opposite. Coming from my very biased perspective, I think aro ace is one of, if not the coolest and most confident orientations out there. Not needing a single gram of romantic or intimate validation from anyone is so cool. All you need is yourself to be happy.
Sort of like you right there with the PlayStation 5. Be like, dude, I got one.
Maybe friends and family too.
Yeah, we literally, like,
And birds.
literally, I was in my room at 8 a.m. on Target's website, like, just refresh. Oh, it's in my cart. Let's check it. Oh, it's not working. And I kept going for like 15 minutes, and finally it's like, your order will be ready at the store at 8 a.m. I was literally like, yes! Fuck yes! I was fucking stoked. I was like, I'm going over there right now. Like, I was excited.
Just gone. Like, I wake up and all of a sudden I'm like, where's Nick?
And you know what? It's been alright so far.
Because usually you're never gone in the mornings. Like, I always like walk out of my room and look out in the driveway. I'm like, there's my car, or there's Kate's car, there's Kathan's car, then there's your car, and now I woke up that morning. I'm like, where's Nick's car? The hell? And I go into your room and it's empty. I'm like, oh shit. Well, damn. Because here's the thing. I was like, did someone come and get... I was about to walk in there and be like, dude, I think someone stole your car. But anyway, sorry.
Yourself to be happy. Maybe friends and family too. And birds. The more I came to terms with the fact I'm aro ace, the more empowered and capable I felt. But at the same time, I was also starting to feel more alone and isolated. As cool and amazing and unique and awesome as I think it is, it can be really hard for other people to relate to or even understand. Everyone else and their orientations are able to bond and relate to the love and romance aspects, and we're over here like, we don't do that. I don't even know if I'm explaining it very well. It kind of does go against everything everyone's ever been taught about anything. Romance is taught to be a basic assumed emotion, which I do think is a bit misleading. A common argument used against the aro ace orientation is that romance and intimacy is what makes someone human. But I mean, I don't know.
Incorrect. Anyone who assumes that, it's like you have to be intimate in order to be human. No, you're human the very moment you're born and you start breathing on planet Earth. Like, that's what makes you human. Like,
no, there are not things that make you human. There are just things that make you inhuman.
Well, yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah, such as being an armchair psychologist and pretending like you know a person's feelings because you went to one semester of psych school.
Like, basically... There are plenty of actions that would basically make me be like, this person is not human, they're a monster. But they're not anything that you have to do in order to be considered human, in my opinion.
There's only one thing that I've seen you do that's made me think you're a monster. And that's when you steal the centerpiece of the brownie from...
You told me it was okay!
I'm joking. Just where we watched that mildly infuriating video, I'm like, okay, I got to make a joke out of this somehow. But then it was too late in the video, and I was just like, we'll just get another time. And I figured, why not now? Why not now?
Lots of birds mate for life, which is a better ratio than people. And all animals get frisky. You know, that's just how they became not extinct. Yes. It's not an exclusive to humans thing. If I were to guess, I would assume the thing that makes someone human is basic empathy. Like, I'm not an emotionless monster. I can still love people. I love my family and my pets, just platonically.
Yes.
And I would hope that you're the same. I just don't experience romantic
I hope
love,
so too.
Which, I don't know. I don't think that's harming anyone. Definitely not me. I'm having the time of my life. I don't think you need to be in a relationship to be happy. And if you don't want to be just on your own, I think there's many types of people in relationships that push the boundaries of what a conventional relationship looks like. Telling someone that they need to be in a romantic relationship to be happy and fulfilled is weird. And then when that person says they're not happy, they're told relationships take a lot of work and that's just how it goes. And that's also weird. I also fucking hate that, even as a person who is like into relationships. I don't feel like a healthy relationship should feel like it takes a lot of work.
Well,
if you are unhappy with it and you feel like there's effort you have to put in just to be happy, I don't feel like that person's right for you. And obviously there's work in terms of like you have to be a decent person to your partner. You can't just neglect your partner. You can't just ignore them and expect them to always be cool with it.
Well as yours.
But it's like when you're with the right person in a relationship, it shouldn't feel like work. And it shouldn't feel stressful.
Well,
I mean, even if it feels like work, as long as it's work you enjoy, right? Like, it shouldn't stress you out, though.
Yes and no, because there's one example that I can think of. If something happens to your partner, like something medically.
Okay, now that I don't count.
Well, again,
that's not what I'm saying. Like, I'm
I
saying
have seen plenty of people leave their partner.
Dude,
they're in the midst of a medical emergency.
Those people are pieces of shit.
Dying of cancer.
Those people are pieces of shit.
For his rehabilitating
Those
therapist.
people are pieces of shit.
She can get fucked.
Yeah.
Anyone who does that's a piece of garbage.
No, I'm talking about just being in a relationship with someone.
Okay, fair enough.
Shouldn't feel stressful.
No, I agree with that.
Someone obviously
the stress of everyday life though.
Stress of someone being ill that you love and care about, that's a different thing. I'm just saying that just because you're with them, you shouldn't feel stressed out.
Dude, my second grade teacher, Miss Salyer, her husband was 33 and he had an aneurysm. 33. And he recently died here in his 70s. They were married the entire time. And she stuck with him the entire way. That is love. That is like a genuinely like someone who willingly made the sacrifices to stay in a relationship because they actually romantically love this person.
So I could even see like asexual, aromantic people eventually finding someone that they're like, you're such my best friend and we're both asexual, aromantic, but I think it would be really badass to just be roommates for life. Live with each other and help each other out with stuff.
Well, and
that's kind of a relationship in a way.
Here's the other thing too. Proclivities can change over time. For instance, there are men and women who are right now they identify as straight, but as they've gone on in life, they've developed feelings for other for other sexual orientations, and it's
you have to be careful with that because there's still a heated argument surrounding how your sexuality and everything actually works.
Well,
because there's still the heated argument that everyone is born a certain way and they can't help that. And that's the whole thing is like they can't help that.
Well,
but I think that it can actually evolve over time. It's not that it's something that you purposely tried to. That you or other people purposely tried to influence. It's just kind of what happened with you.
Well, no, and that's the other thing too is I have two cousins who are gay and an uncle and a cousin who are gay, but honestly, like, both of them had their own reasons and ways that they discovered that they were. And it was, and, you know, overall, my whole thinking is, yeah, being born is a way that someone can, you know, being born is, you know, people are born the way they are, and they have a natural proclivity for the same sex, or for, they're pansexual. But there's also the thing that can happen that over time, development also has a lot to do with it. Nature versus nurture. And I think nurture, you know, if someone's like feelings are nurtured or are like done in a certain way, then they can develop feelings for, you know, they can develop feelings that they've never had before. I mean, it's all about self-discovery.
I also wonder sometimes too, by the way, and kind of what you're talking about, and just that conversation topic in general, but I feel like there are certain people out there that are just much, much better at others at narrowing down who is actually a good person for them. And some of those people may, for a long time, feel like, well, there's just nobody out there for me. And then they finally find a person, and all of a sudden, like, they're like, wait, this works. Because I've had multiple friends think that they might have been asexual or aromantic or whatever.
Same here.
That are now in relationships.
Same.
And, like, I think that, like, with them, a lot of the times I'm just kind of like, you've literally talked to me about people you're attracted to before, though.
Yes. So,
I mean, unless this is just, like, something that's changed, then I think it's just more like you're just not finding anyone attractive at the moment. For Jaden, it sounds a lot more like...
Oh, it sounds like
that's just
more
been,
hard line.
You know, yeah, cemented in stone since she's been alive, pretty much. And, like, that's just... That sounds
She's
pretty...
just not had an attraction.
Like, all of her going back and, like, thinking about earlier in life and going to a school with that many people and everything, I'm like, yeah, that sounds like you could be 100% accurate with that.
Seems legit.
But there's also the thing, it's just like you could just be very, very discerning with, like, who ends up actually being the person that makes you feel those fluffy feelings inside. And like, maybe one day they'll just pop out of nowhere and you'll be like, oh, shit. Like, but
yeah, and...
maybe they won't. Like,
well,
who knows?
It's like me discovering things about myself when I got into college and everything. I mean, I'm like, huh, okay, so I feel this way about it. All right, okay. And I had, here's the thing, I haven't experimented or anything like that, but here's the thing that happened to me, and I was, there was a guy I was friends with in my acting class. Decent guy, as far as he seemed, and he was gay, and he was also in a relationship. And during one evening while we were hanging out at this local club, he, don't know how drunk he was or anything like that, he literally, like, sneaks up right underneath, like, right behind me, and reaches his hand under and, like, forcefully grabs my nether regions. Like, and all of a sudden and it freaked me out. And I was just like, dude, what the and then,
understandably so.
And basically, like, this guy was my friend.
It would freak me out even if a lady did that to me in public.
And here's the thing, I'd
be like, what the who the hell?
Thing, I've never had like attraction to men. I've never had like a attraction to men, and from him doing that, I think mentally I cemented like where I stand in terms of like where I am right now in my like my orientation, and he basically basically insulted me when I got offended at the fact that he grabbed me. He basically said, "Don't knock it till you try it." That whole thing, I hate that too.
Yeah,
I hate that whole thing. Don't knock it till you try it. Here's the thing.
That sounds manipulative to me.
It is. It's gaslighting, and everyone who does that is gaslighting. I'm sorry, but people out there, if someone doesn't have the natural thought to try it, then you shouldn't force them.
I'm so ridiculously comfortable with my sexuality that if that happened to me, I feel like I probably would have been like, oh, that's a dude, and I would have just turned around and probably smiled at him and would have been like, I'm straight. He would have been like, oh.
Dude, this is me when I was 19.
Yeah, I know.
I was 19.
I'm just saying, like, that's probably what I would do
years
now.
Ago.
Like,
well, now I wouldn't care. Now I'm just like, I'm like, whatever. But, dude, back then, and he insulted me, and basically when he said, don't knock it till you try it, and I'm just like, well, I don't have an apprehension for but you seem adventurous. Why don't you give it a shot? And basically, we didn't talk anymore.
You might want to edit that out.
Yeah. I'll edit that out because that was pretty heavy. Yeah. And when I said that to him, basically, like, he dead stopped and then just left. Like,
I don't know. I also think it's weird that once someone reaches a certain age, people inherently start thinking it's sad they're not in a romantic relationship or assume they're lonely and sad. No one thinks a child is sad and lonely just because they're not in a long-term relationship. I don't know. I don't get it. And I also think I'm rambling. At the end of the day, it's all very complicated to talk about these things. Jesus. Especially because I don't know the feelings I'm supposed to be feeling, let alone talk about. I just know for me, the terms aromantic and asexual are able to articulate things I was subconsciously feeling and thinking before I even realized I was feeling and thinking them. I don't plan on talking about this very much, if at all, ever again. I just want to play my silly little video games, maybe tell a story.
Hey!
Smiling grins, hell yeah.
To the surface and try to get more representation out there, because I thought if I could help more people become more aware of this, then that would be awesome. I was confused as hell for a while and could have used something like this. It's a real thing. You don't have to feel any sort of romance or whatever to be considered a real person. Personally, I think it's really cool and badass. And don't be afraid to look more into aromanticism or asexualism if any of what I said in this video resonated with you to any degree. Like I said, this is all very surface level stuff. They're both much larger spectrums than you'd think, and maybe you fall under some umbrella category with them. I don't know. Or not. Either way, this has all been my personal experience with this stuff. Is there more for me to figure out within it? Yeah, I'm pretty sure there is. It can get pretty complicated and confusing. Haha, awesome. Will I be sharing any of that with you? Nope, no way. This is all you get. Hope you can understand even just a little of what I talked about. And if not, that's totally fine. I just hope you can be nice. Thanks for listening. I never really intended on making this video because I haven't really felt a strong urge to, like, I don't like using this phrase for myself, but come out. But I did end up wanting to make the video to make people more aware of this stuff because I think it's important, and someone has to. There's not really that many people doing it right now. Anyway, yeah, just moving forward, I guess. See you later.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Very much fair enough. And everyone, I think, like...
So obviously my dream of taking Jaden out for ice cream is probably never happening.
Well, you could probably just have a hangout session, you know, like play some Smash Bros or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, because that's what she seems to enjoy, like drawing, hanging out, and just playing Smash Bros. Which, hey, we're having a Smash Bros tournament. There's a Smash Bros tournament here at the local gamer lounge.
That's the other thing she was talking about. Like, she didn't understand, like, why people would freak out when someone would tell them, like, oh, I want to be friends, you know? I personally don't really understand that either, but there was a time in my life before I grew up a little bit more where I kind of, like, thought it was a valid thing to an extent. Because, like, there was a while where it's like I had a crush on, like, the first person I had a crush on. And it was like, hey, like, I like you. And it's like, oh, well, I like you too. And it's like, all right, well, let's hang out. And then it's like, oh, well, I like someone else now. And it's like, so let's just be friends. And I'm like, that hurts me, you know? Like, and it was like, so I was kind of like, it's just, it's hard to just be friends with this person because I actually have other feelings for them. And eventually I had to just realize that, like, people are like, oh, you can't shut off feelings. And I'm like, if the person will allow you to separate yourself from them for, like, a short period of time, yes, you can kind of shut off feelings. Like, you just have to figure out how. And it's something that's definitely learned, and it's not easy to teach either, unfortunately. But Now as an older person, it's just like, if someone is like, oh yeah, I want to just be friends, and you freak the fuck out on them, you're an asshole.
Yeah.
Like, no. But here, on the opposite end of the spectrum, I will say, for a lot of these women that are just like saying that, I don't understand why I tell a dude I just want to be friends, and then he distances himself from me. You have to understand that if a dude was coming with those intentions, that he likes you that way, and now he has found out that you don't return those things, he may not have had enough time to have an extra friend. He may have just had enough time to seek a relationship.
Well,
and it's not anything against you. It's not that, he dislikes you or he's salty at you for only wanting to be his friend. It just might be that he's seeking someone else instead, and therefore there's not going to be enough time to just be like best friends with you all the time, every time. There may be, but there may not. And I think that more people should be understanding of the fact that sometimes if someone is like, hey, I like you in a crush type of way, and if you're like, well, I don't, and then they just suddenly distance themselves from you, more people should be understanding of the idea of them just distancing themselves from you, because if that's what their intentions were and they found out that you didn't feel the same way, it's much more respectful for them to go seek their time, to put their time elsewhere, than it is to be a fucking asshole to you over you telling them that you didn't return their feelings.
And here's another thing too, like a lot of people who do that get secondhand embarrassment and just feel like they can't face you anymore, because
that's true too.
It's like they,
especially if someone anxious worked up the courage just to ask you out and then they got turned down, like they may just like turn bright tomato red every time they get near you, every time from now on, and it might just become uncomfortable for them to be near you. But nobody should ever feel pressured either to ever say yes because they don't want to grow distance from someone. Like I heard her say that, and I'm just like, that's dangerous. Like,
yeah, that's very dangerous.
Like if you don't want to be with somebody, tell them you don't want to be with somebody. That's on them.
Just
not
be honest.
That's on them, not you to deal with.
Yes. So also another thing too is just all the stuff that surrounds just talking to someone and telling someone how you feel about them. I remember like multiple times it's happened to me. I got like basically told I only want to be friends, and me, I just thought to myself, okay, so just friends. That's fine. That's perfectly fine. And then there were other times I was just like, well, shit. Okay, so we don't really have as much in common in terms of like being friends. I really just enjoyed like talking to you about certain things, and also I just like being around you, I guess I don't really like want to be friends to that level, but hey, let's hang out a little bit, and if things work in terms of hanging out, then hey, let's be friends. But again, it's just like, this is the strange thing about compatibility and just like human beings being human beings. We can't help but muck things up every now and again. That's just the truth. Human beings are clumsy. We are haphazard. We don't think before we act.
Anybody who acts like they 100% know what they're doing is full of shit. Too.
They are 100% like up, like brown eye, like full on brown eyed, full of shit. Like that's.
There may be some with life experiences that give them a little more wisdom than others, but they still don't 100% always know what they're doing.
Yeah. I'm just gonna also say this.
Nobody's all kinds of smart, but everybody is some kind of dumb.
Yes. I had a girl, like I've probably told this story, but I don't think I've told it on a video that's gonna get this as many views. I was in a relationship with a girl, Emily, that's what I'll call her. Her name, oh god, I forgot one of the times I told this was when we were discussing like an Emery Chew video. And I said her name was Emily. Anyway, I'll just stick with that. But she, we've been dating for about 5-6 months. And things were going good. But then, I was taking her out to dinner and everything. And then she basically looked at me across the table, had a little bit of a depressed look on her face. And she basically said, Nate, I need to tell you something. And then she told me basically in such short amount of words, I've been seeing someone else. And I asked, did I know him? And she said, yeah, do you remember this girl from my my gymnastics class? Yeah. Oh. Okay. And, you know, for the longest time, I distanced myself from her because I was just like, okay, it'll probably just be awkward because, you know, we'd gotten intimate previously, and I was just like, okay, maybe it'll be awkward. And then, of course, dumbass me when I was a kid, I'm just like, dude, you are such a bad boyfriend. You made her quit. You made her quit dudes and only go with women. And that's just my infantile brain at that point. And now that I've grown up, and also I'm still friends with her, and her and that girl are also still in a relationship, so hey, all good. But
I actually had an ex that dated a chick after me, and like my whole rationalization, the way I rationalized it in my brain, I was just like, oh, well, that explains why we didn't work out. Like, you know, so yeah. It wasn't like it was like that's my fault. It's like, oh well, it's just okay. She likes chicks, and then now I'm pretty sure she's married to a dude from what I've heard. So I'm just like, some people just take a while to figure it out. You know?
I don't think they're married. I don't think they want to get married. I think they're just happy doing what they do. They both cosplay still. They actually found
because
out
I'm actually pretty sure that particular girl tried to be a dick to me and just be like, I'm dating a girl because you were such a horrible person. And I'm just like, yeah, okay.
All right.
I was like, yeah, you just keep trying to hurt me. I don't give a fuck.
Keep telling yourself that. I've moved on. Well, clearly you haven't.
Yep.
But, all right.
I moved on the second she was like, going to this concert is more important to me than you are. And I was just like,
okay.
Okay,
so,
go fuck yourself.
Bye then. So, all right, that's going to do it on this one, everybody. This is Jaden Animations. Being Not Straight, and what a video. Jaden, thank you for putting that out there and being brave enough to
kudos on your bravery for making this kind of video.
And hey, you got our support all the way through, and this was very enlightening, and we appreciate you putting this out there. And I guess nothing really else to say, everybody. That's going to do it. This was Jaden Animation, Being Not Straight. And if you want to see more from Jaden, click her name in the title of the video. Feel free to share your thoughts and expressions down below in the description or in the comment section. And I guess until next time.
And if you or anyone in the comment section, because I know this topic so frequently misconstrued, and you are offended by anything we said here today, just know that we did not intend that to be taken in a way that was offensive. And if you decide to take something that we said in some sort of offensive way, there's not really much we can do for you. That's
well, no. And here's I think we approach this as cleanly and as open-minded as we can, because honestly, if you have no right to assume our intentions. That's all I'm gonna say. If you're going to assume our intentions, we're not the ones in the wrong. You are. So anyway, that's gonna do it, everybody. Thanks again, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care.
Back, turn back, right, be so rough. Times is tough. Life stays that way. Times is hard. Life stays that way. Back, turn back, right, be so rough. Times is tough. Life stays that way. Times is hard.